There was a blackface incident with them as well.
Oh my god. Okay, well they're all.
I think in Sussex in 1922 it didn't qualify as an incident. That was just no one at the time would have regarded it as such. Yeah, that was just like Friday night.
No, are you okay? What the hell's going on? What the fuck?
Yeah. Nothing.
That's psychotic. That's fucking psychotic. Sorry.
That feels like that should be the opening.
Are you filming
so
already?
Fucked. Sorry.
I made such a big mistake this morning.
When is it ever an occasion to wear a hoodie with nothing underneath?
Quite often if it's cold enough.
But you still want to line yourself with maybe a little tank?
Aren't you getting
a little tea?
It implies such a specific level of temperature where like you need the hoodie, but a t-shirt would be too far.
Well, I rewear hoodies, and in order to rewear a hoodie without making the armpits too stinky, you got to put a t-shirt layer.
I just wash my clothes.
You're washing your hoodies too often, then.
How often do you wash your hoodies?
Every week, if I'm wearing it like 2-3 times that week.
But is it like an at-home?
It'll be like the hoodie that I wear to the gym, and then I take it off. And then I put it back on when I leave the gym.
Okay, so it's a bit more utilitarian of a hoodie.
Yeah, I think overclothes you don't need to wash them as much. Like I don't wash like jeans or jumpers that often, but I wash t-shirts and pants and socks like every day.
Because that's the underlayer.
Yeah, they're taking the brunt of the bodily.
But if you were putting your butthole and dick on the jeans, then you'd want to wash the jeans more often.
Yeah.
But then there's the underlayer of the underwear.
Yeah, especially on the outside. Rubbing my asshole on my jeans.
Balls up and down your own jeans. Just to get that worn look.
Well, look, you don't want to have to go to the trouble of writing your name inside, so, you just do that.
How do you get that tear in your jeans? Oh, wow. Balls. I rub my balls on.
When your girlfriend notices all the blue dye on your nutsack and you're like, oh, sorry,
I've been aging my jeans.
Yeah.
Are we filming?
They're a bit new. Yeah.
What is the worst fabric to jerk off with? This is not my question, but I've
That
just
wasn't
come
your
up
question?
with... That wasn't. I just came
up with a question,
Well,
and I was hoping it wasn't going to be blue.
I have a
I was
non-blue
hoping it
one.
wasn't going to be blue. Well, that's what I said to my nuts after the jeans debacle.
Wait, hold on. That's what you said to your nuts after the jeans
like
debacle.
Specifically my nuts were going to fight the Romans. But only my nuts.
Uh-huh.
Okay, well, hang on, though.
You want a non-blue question? I have a non-blue question.
No. We both just picked up on the word with.
Yeah, so you're taking velvet, corduroy, and that's the thing that's
using
touching
it as a cock sleeve.
Yes.
We're fashioning a tube.
And then sort of fleshlighting it.
I haven't done field research to answer this question.
Does anything come to mind immediately? Silk?
Silk feels like something a villain would do.
With only the finest silk.
Well, just in lieu of a sort of laser sort of slowly going up a table with James Bond, it's just like Blofeld brings out a sort of silk
His handkerchief.
sleeve.
A silk sleeve, and it's like, come, Mr. Bond, I expect you to
Come.
Yeah. There we go. How about that one? There we go.
Wanking yourself off with a kind of silk sleeve would be like giving yourself a kind of deconstructed silkworm blowjob. Like a sort of the Heston Blumenthal of wanking has dried out the saliva of all of these silkworms in order to reconstruct. I thought it was saliva, but I don't know.
Isn't it a byproduct of chewing? Look, I had real hopes for the new season of this show that we wouldn't.
I have a better one. I have a non-blue
that we wouldn't
one.
just that we wouldn't steer hard into.
I would say that's one of the most circumcised questions I've ever heard someone ask.
And that's your starting point. Mm-hmm. They're not even identical twins. One of them's a woman, one of them's a man.
What's wrong with just a baby with a teardrop tattoo on one eye?
What, this baby is
killed.
The baby is the baby with the star tattoos on its knees.
Yeah.
Like this.
You'll never kneel.
This baby went to Russian prison.
Vody baby.
Yeah. I wanted to motivate my baby to start walking, so I tattooed stars on his knees.
So he's shaming himself whenever he crawls anywhere.
Yeah, just like a really big tattoo of like a sort of like an Eastern Orthodox icon on his back, stars on his knees, teardrops on his eyes.
Yeah.
Just like we want him running daycare.
We're raising our boy Vody to be a Russian convict. So we're raising him in that style. We'd like him to be very tough and...
The thing is, some Russian households they're run by the parents, but other Russian households they're run by the children. And ours is very much it's a black household. It's run by the children. The red households, that's a different story. But
yeah, actually, interestingly, the children have started making their own meth in the basement. of the Montessori Russian prison.
No, he tattooed himself the Montessori Russian prison.
Well, that is what the Black Russian prisons are, right?
Yeah.
It's a Montessori jail.
Where the prisoners can decide what activities they do.
Well, kind of,
Yeah,
essentially.
that is
Yeah,
pretty fun.
there are a bunch of those. Most of or for a while, most cocaine exports from Peru were processed in the basement of a Montessori prison in Peru.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're at lunch at the Montessori Russian prison daycare and one of the bigger kids asks you if you want a spork in the eye or the ass one time, and you're like, what's the correct answer? Everyone's like, ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The yup at the end.
Yeah.
It's the yup
Yeah.
at the end.
There we go.
Okay,
we
do you want-
we're relying on Olga for that one.
Do you want the clean question?
I'd love the queen. The queen.
So-
the queen
The
question.
queen question.
You
We're
talking
gonna
about
queen
your
out.
fucking not nephew, but whoever this is.
Annabelle's
who
nephew.
Yeah, Annabelle's nephew.
The
Who's
Green
upset?
Goblin.
Who can't talk about Batman. Who loves Batman but
How
can't
did he
pronounce the
say it?
names
How
of the
does he say it?
characters.
I think he was like 4 at the time, and he said the Green Goblin.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, it was
yeah.
good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. He's running the prison now. Clean Goblin.
So I just came back from the United States of America, where I did a road trip across the Midwest. And what really struck me, and it always strikes me with America, is how good it is with self-mythologizing and creating history in real time. Like something will happen and immediately there'll be a museum for it. Do you know what I mean? It's already sort of written.
Museum of Butter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, I went to the Museum of Magic. What else? I went to the American Museum of Magic. I went to the Miniature Museum. I went everywhere.
Sorry, excuse me. The miniature museum?
Yeah, you
Is
got
it a miniature museum or a museum of miniatures?
Clever. And so,
The miniature museum? You mean my aunt's recycling on a Saturday morning?
What?
I'm not really sure.
Alcohol miniatures.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought she was throwing out a lot of dolls
like
furniture.
Sylvanian families or
So he's
something.
clearing out her Warhammer.
Yeah.
I've got a very autistic aunt. She just loves Warhammer.
But she throws it, she paints it.
Yeah.
She loves
she's bored.
Warhammer. She hates clutter.
Actually, no, yeah, she's ADHD. She gets like hyper focused on the Warhammer for a bit, and then she gets intensely bored by them
But
later.
she always recycles. She never bins it.
You
yeah.
got a Marie Kondo, the Sylvanian
yeah.
Sorry,
families.
please
you
carry on.
send it back to the Warhammer factory, and they melt it down to create new Space Marines or whatever the fuck.
You can't say Space Marines or whatever the fuck as though that's wrong. That is just right. You gave the
Wow.
right Warhammer answer.
I know,
Don't
I
spin
just-
it off like you don't
That's
know.
the angriest I've ever seen you. Ever.
I couldn't
I've known you
name
for
any
years.
other Warhammers. That's the one that I know, which is why I went, and so on.
What the fuck is a Space Marine? Wait a second.
No, let's not open this Pandora's box.
Okay.
Wait, are they treating the fabric of the sky as the sea?
Yeah,
sort of.
Yeah.
It's the Imperial Navy, of course, would
Okay,
have
happy.
the. But Space Marines don't work for the Imperial Navy. That's just a
That would be
nickname
silly.
the citizens of the Imperium give the Adeptus Astartes.
I give up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's like Country Music Hall of Fame, there's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, there's like NASCAR Hall of Fame, all this stuff. So what I'm asking is, if the UK had the same approach to the events happening and the people sort of becoming famous in the UK, what would those experiences look like? Like the Virginia Woolf fingering experience.
We have
or
that.
Whatever.
It's called, we have that.
What
it's
is
called
that?
Charleston House.
Oh, I have. Actually, it's quite nice.
What
I
is
really enjoyed
Charleston
my.
House?
It's really fun.
Yeah.
It's Vanessa Bell's house where she.
You're just saying words. Vanessa Bell.
Vanessa Bell is Virginia Woolf's sister.
Okay.
It's actually a pretty crazy story. So Vanessa Bell was there living with her husband. Then she also had a gay best friend.
Duncan Grant.
Yeah. I mean, I don't remember men's names. And then,
This is like you've all watched an obscure TV show
Wait,
that I
wait.
haven't
Okay,
seen.
What do you mean? We've watched an obscure TV show. This is like one of the most important arts and literary movements of 20th century Britain.
listen, it's the craziest story I've ever heard. Anyways, I'm giving you the Real Housewives lowdown. So Vanessa Bell married to a
Real
dude.
Housewives of Sussex, 1922.
Exactly.
There was a blackface incident with them as well.
Oh my God. Okay, well, they're all.
I think in Sussex in 1922 it didn't qualify as an incident. That was just no one at the time
was
would have
just a
regarded it
Friday.
as such. Yeah, that was just like Friday night.
Okay, so basically,
We're imposing that post fact. Yeah.
all these bohemians avoiding
yeah.
World War I, having a great time in Sussex. So Vanessa Bell married to a man.
Avoiding World War I simply by it being 1922. The easiest way to avoid World War I.
They were there for years. They were there for years.
Yeah.
So, she's married to a man. She's also has a gay best friend. Her and the gay best friend have a one-night stand. They have a daughter, but she has kids with the
As a
straight.
jape.
As a jape.
Yeah.
Well, she has kids with a straight husband as well. So they're all pretending that the daughter is also the daughter of the straight man, not the gay
Okay.
guy that she had a one-night stand with. At the time, the gay guy also has a boyfriend. Are you following?
People were so fertile back in the day.
Are you following?
One night
Anyway,
stand,
they grow up. She discovers, dad's actually my mom's best friend. Not my dad, the guy I thought was my dad. And you know who she marries? The boyfriend of the gay guy.
What?
Yeah.
She
married her biological boyfriend.
father's boyfriend.
Yeah.
Well, in literary circles in Britain in 1920, there was so much social pressure to at least pretend to be gay that lots of men were closeted heterosexuals for years. I'm never going to get anywhere in British literature if I don't at least seem a bit fruity. Come on.
Riley at Burgheim.
Look.
I don't think you can be too gay for the British Army.
Yes.
I don't think that's possible.
I don't know. I think you can't be too homoerotic for the British Army. You can't be too gay for the Navy.
And here we go back to the Marines.
3 branches of the military. It's all split responsibilities. There's homoeroticism. There's actual gayness.
Well, the army's like a strip club. It's like, look as much as you want, but no touching. And the Navy's like a Russian strip club. It's like, you can fuck the bouncer if you want. if you've got $1,000 in cash.
That's the toughest shit I've ever heard. Don't mess with him. You went to that, that rough strip club on the other side of town? Yeah, well, he went there. He fucked the bouncer. You'd be like, oh, wow, I'm not messing with this guy. He's crazy.
He went and he got the sad ending from the bouncer.
I remember, I don't know if you guys know this, but I remember when I was growing up, there was like a creativity test, and they gave you like a piece of paper with a circle on it, and you're like, put a dot anywhere. And like the real creative people would turn the paper over and put the dot there, and it was like, ooh, you think outside the box, and that's fucking the bouncer.
Yeah. The bouncer giving you a lap dance, and it's like the hacker.
I'd love that. I would love that though. Because
furious face.
You know how
yeah, that would be awesome.
You know how like terms like this, like thinking outside the box to go around the problem, get adopted by business. I'd really like to hear like someone in a status meeting be like, just step back. How can we fuck the bouncer on this problem?
Whoa, guys, let's not fuck the bouncer here.
I'm still enjoying the visual of someone sitting like this while an enormous Russian bouncer does the hacker for him. The guy in the chair is just absolutely
in a G-string,
just tearing denim, just so aroused, absolutely
jerking off with a tube of jean.
Taking off your jeans,
cowboy.
Pulling it out from a little display case, a little tube of denim.
It's like the Batcave. There's all these cloth tubes, all different sort of chambers.
Smith's...
In my head, the bouncer was still wearing the earpiece, the big phone.
Yeah, obviously.
That's what makes it work. It's like
he's holding the clipboard.
It's like the sort of sexy police officer costume.
Yeah.
It's like the
giving a
sexy
little
police
spank with
officer
it?
costume for a stripper.
Yeah.
It's the sexy bouncer. He just is the bouncer.
The alternate universe where the Nonsense Smith song was "Fuck the Bouncer." Fuck the bouncer, fuck the bouncer.
What's that a reference to?
The Smith song "Hang the DJ."
Okay.
Yeah. What? Oh, is it? Oh, okay. I know it is Hang the DJ because I refuse to learn about the Smiths. If you're a Smiths fan, don't comment on this saying Milo doesn't know about the Smiths because that's fucking right. And I don't want to.
If you're a Smiths fan, you're probably not listening to this, to be fair.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know. You know more about the Smiths than I do.
That's true, but it's a low bar,
Okay, so
Riley.
what's
It's
the
a very
Smiths
low
experience
bar.
in the UK?
Oh, there we go.
Ooh.
I wouldn't know, but I'm sure you all
The
would.
museum would have to be in that. What's that album cover? The
Ketamine.
Thingy Boys Club. It's the picture that everyone takes who loves the Smiths. It's a place in Manchester, and it's called like the
Salford Boys
the
Club?
Salford Boys Club.
Yeah.
So it'd have to be there. And you go in, and initially it's about being sad and.
And then some very interesting ideas about meat and racism.
Well, as you go through the museum, and so slowly there's just more and more St. George flags just creeping in.
Yeah, the Smiths
And
Museum
at
would
first
be
you're
like...
like, huh? No,
Yeah,
did
yeah.
I see that?
I thought I saw a flag.
Yeah, it's like immersive theatre. Like the first thing that happens when you walk in is a man you believe to be your father is run over by a milk float. And then they make you compose a haiku about it. Yeah, but you like believe it's real. It's like the Matrix.
Oh, God.
The
Okay.
Morrissey
Wait,
experience.
They get a deep fake of my dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm walking in.
You
And
look at
he's
yourself,
like,
suddenly you've got a quiff. You don't know what's going on.
And he's like, "Hi, Riley. It's me, your father. I'm here visiting from Canada. Oh, no, a milk."
Yeah, it would gradually become more and more like, because he wasn't. I don't know how soon he was vegan, but that he was vegan crazy before he was immigration crazy.
Yeah.
So you'd have to try and blend those.
and sort of see them as a correlation of some kind.
Yeah, and have like a kind of a picture of just like an English chicken, thumbs up.
Well, you could
a foreign person, thumbs down.
It's like
you go, now I see his thinking. I'm starting to get on board with his thinking.
like generative AI. You could be like, well, let's have like a sort of anthropomorphic broccoli, like stopping the boat, basically.
Yeah, that were VeggieTales.
Yeah. You'd have sort of
Right-wing
VeggieTales,
But instead of
VeggieTales.
Christianity, it's xenophobia.
Yeah, it's the armed.
Anti-immigration VeggieTales.
It's the armed wing of VeggieTale. You know, as opposed to their political wing.
So is like corn
Jabal
approaching?
vegetable.
Is corn approaching from the Americas, and are they standing there going no? Or are foreign vegetables okay?
Well, you know, if they're vegetables from America, is it American corn or Central American corn?
They have to be British
That is the
vegetables.
question. Okay, British vegetables for
Carrots.
British people.
Carrots and onions.
Yeah, you're just
No olives.
No,
Yeah.
Don't even freaking think about it.
Certainly no bok choy.
nothing from the Mediterranean triad at all.
it's a lettuce, a carrot, and an onion.
The Mediterranean
Kicking the fuck out of an
triad
olive.
sounds like a gang.
The Mediterranean triad, you'll know about this, surely. The Mediterranean triad was the sort of the package of foodstuffs that every Mediterranean civilization from the Bronze Age onward has subsisted on primarily. Grape, grain, and
I wish it was the 90s.
Yeah, it would have been
Just
so
say whatever
good.
you want. And if
Yeah.
anyone was annoyed, they had to write you a letter. Not even
Yeah.
at you, at like a TV station. Amazing. You were like 11 walls.
You'd have to be so crazy to write a letter of complaint to something. Like
That could be-
letter is such a high bar to entry. There's so few things I'd be prepared to write a letter
I'm not
about.
wasting stationery
you
on
know what
shit.
I'd like to see? You know what? Can I tell you what I'd like to see? I'd like to see in Tunbridge Wells a museum of angry letters.
That would be so fun.
Yeah, there you go.
I would love that.
Now that's a film with Jim Broadbent in it. Oh, don't be silly, Grandad. No one's going to come to your museum of angry letters. Oh, but it's been my dream to start a museum of angry letters since I were a lad.
Since Margaret Thatcher closed down the angry letters
Are
mine.
you aware
That's
of
right.
the disgusted of Tunbridge Wells sort of meme?
No.
So I don't know how it started. Was it in the Times or?
I just do
Joke
like
in
the
Private
idea.
Eye as well.
Yeah.
The idea is that like all the most buttoned up, uptight weirdos live in Tunbridge Wells.
Uh-huh.
There's a long running joke that any letter that complains about something being
Always
too
from Tunbridge.
sexy is always disgusted of Tunbridge Wells,
Okay.
like anonymous.
Examples of such letters of this type sent to the advertiser may be found which predate its origin in the mid-20th century, including the following example from 1924. Sir, being present at the unveiling of the plaque on Thursday last week on the Pantiles, a street in Tunbridge Wells, I was surprised the national anthem was played to see that in a place like Tunbridge Wells, which is noted for its loyalty and calls itself royal, that there should be people who refuse to move their hats. Are they communists?
Are
If
you
they
fucking serious?
Tunbridge Wells should have no place for such as they. We can do without them.
I've never been so disgusted since my daughter married my gay lover's boyfriend.
Hey, that's one county over.
Approximately the right year,
They do
though.
things differently there. Here we take off our hats for the national anthem, and over there, your daughter will marry your gay lover's boyfriend.
Why, they wear tubes of denim on their cocks over in Sussex?
Yeah.
Incredible
do
difference on the county line. Something just happens.
It's border effects, right?
Oh, I'm going to say something that has nothing to do with this, but a minute ago it would be relevant. Morrissey gets angry every time he watches a Bond movie and he gets a martini because there's an olive. That's
He
not
loves
great.
the new ones,
He
except they have
watches,
lemon.
and then he sees the olive and he's like, God damn it!
It's
And he
a
has to
foreign
stew.
berry.
Look, it's not that good of a riff. Continue. You could cut that out too.
meaty grape.
That's good.
Why do I want a savory fruit? It doesn't make any sense.
That's pretty good.
That's very different from your own voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, I hate Morrissey so much that it brings a passion to my Morrissey impression, which few other of my impressions have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think the reason that there are so many museums in America is that there is so much America.
Right.
There's a
Yeah.
huge amount of it. And you have to, and there's all the places in America, once you get out of like a very small bit of it, are so far between one another that nobody wants to drive all of it in one go. So people will roughly stop at kind of the same places. And so I think that there's this real impetus in
I'm
America.
stopping in William, Idaho.
Yeah, well, exactly.
I might as well go to the Museum of Spanners.
Yeah,
Or
well,
like the
essentially.
biggest frying pan or whatever.
Yeah, I mean it's
Yeah.
like France back when sort of the distances between places in France were such that to drive between two cities would basically require a stop.
Well, they made France smaller in the 1970s. That's what it was, a Gaullist project.
Well, it's kind of decimalisation. All the numbers got smaller.
When car journeys...
Well, because Algeria used to be in France. But then they changed that, so it made the driving distances
quite a bit smaller.
Yeah.
Average driving distances did go... Average driving distances are still being driven up by Saint-Pierre and Miquelon.
The funniest detail about the French Empire was that their approach to it was, this is France now, you are all French. And then a load of them came to France and they were like, no, not like that. That was not what we meant by you are French. We meant you are French over there.
Australia has the big stuff as well by the highway. Big fruit, big carved pumpkin, world's biggest banana. They love it.
Well, they have the big merino.
Big sheep.
Big sheep.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Is it like stuff?
Not what they call a marina. Oh, the fucking Sydney Marino. You gotta see it, mate.
the really big marina, and it's like, wow, that's quite large. I don't see how anyone could possibly use that.
Yeah, get this. They got a road that goes over the sea. It's like on sticks. It's in the air. Yeah, no one's got a word for it yet.
Okay, the Pulp and Arctic Monkey Sheffield walking tour.
Yes.
Would you be
that's
into that?
good. I would be into that.
Well,
Yeah?
there's just various seedy characters, and then the guy's like, "See
From
that
the covers
man
of the
there?"
albums.
There must be some punk museums in London. Surely there are. We're being told.
He's lighting up a cigarette outside the betting shop.
54 years. That's like 40 years ago. That's long enough to have an actual museum.
Yeah.
A musical thing.
There is
there a
an
punk
Arctic
museum?
Monkeys tour in Sheffield.
Huh.
However, I've been denied geolocation by the website that is promoting it. I'm sure there must be an Amy Winehouse tour in Camden.
I've seen a flyer for something.
Like, this is a place where sort of,
But I bet they're too cowardly to make it authentic.
Oh
Like
my
it should be,
God.
it should be doing a fucking line in every pub. Like you should the Amy Winehouse walking tour should be the best fucking walking tour in London. Like you should be like having sex in a toilet, doing a line. Like it should be. It's just like, and here's where she did her first gig. No, that does not give a picture of the life Amy Winehouse led.
So instead of like an umbrella to tour people around, it's just like a massive Coke spoon, like a huge.
It's like just like a bottle of Buckfast leading the. Well, I don't know what she was a big drinker of actually.
If it's Buckfast, I'll be gobsmacked. I don't think it's even that easy to get.
I don't think she was uptight. I think if you'd have handed her a Buckfast, she'd have,
What if you open a Margaret Thatcher Memorial Centre in one of the mines she closed?
people would pee on it.
Yeah.
And people would pee on it and go all the time. So that's the thing about.
Well, you're making money.
UK.
You're making money off of everybody,
Yeah.
right? Because you'd be like, hey, £5 for a piss, £5 to go look at a map of the Falklands.
A lot of those places are the most right wing in Brexit now, so you'd probably make a lot of money.
Oh man, I accidentally made a lot of money, but we donated to good causes. Yes. We donated to start the authentic Amy Winehouse experience.
We donated to Argentina to fund taking back the Falklands.
Okay.
There we
Finally, this season finally has a goal. We just have to have an arbitrary, like, one of those pots of money that, like, raises. It's like a telethon to raise money to send to Argentina.
Hi, it's a very unpopular telethon in Britain. Hi, we're raising money for Argentina's claim on the Falkland Island. Would you please? Oh, and they hung up again.
To be fair, just
The
raising
Terry
money
Peck
for Argentina.
Memorial Tour. Come on.
Who's Terry Peck?
Oh, yeah.
The Terry Peck Memorial Tour.
Terry Peck is a guy who, during the Falklands War, was a retired policeman on the island and took it upon himself to like be Rambo, but not in any like.
No fucking way. Is there a movie about him?
There should be.
Let's
It's
write
incredible.
it.
It would be like a Four Lions style because he had like no relevant skills other than knowing his way around the Falkland Islands, and he just he kept doing stuff that he felt like Rambo would do on the presumption that it would help at some point.
That would be an amazing movie. You're telling me he's just shadow boxing?
Yeah, he went and deliberately found a bunch of like a hidden weapons cache that the Royal Marines had left behind, which he knew where it was for some reason. He didn't know how to use any of the weapons, but he was just like, well, this is the kind of thing I'll probably need in my exploits as Falklands Rambo. And then he like went and like hid out on a farm somewhere for a few days. And then eventually when the parachute regiment landed, he went and met them and was like, I will guide you across the island. And they were like, sure. Like this 50-year-old
Wait,
man, why not?
Why did they say sure? Surely they would have known.
No, there's a lot of landmines and stuff.
We need to write this movie. That would be an amazing movie.
And then they gave him a parachute regiment red beret at the end of the war, and he was buried with it.
That's sick.
Like, type of guy.
Like that's the
man.
only person ever in the history of like people who fancy themselves kind of Rambo that I'm aware of, at least in the English-speaking world, where that has ever actually worked and you have gotten the respect of the people who you admired.
He should be played by someone like Al Murray.
Yeah,
that would be so good.
That would be great.
He was like the fat end of the wedge, where the thin end of the wedge is like your dad talking to the guy repairing the washing machine, going like, "Oh, is that a ratchet spanner?" But he managed to do that to like the actual army, and they were like, "Yeah, have one of our rats." He was like, "Fuck!" Like if the plumber hands you a tool belt, like, he comes in for the second day of work and he's had one fashioned for you. Like I went to the plumbers guild and they said you can have this as an honorary.
When you fuck the bouncer so good, he hands you the clipboard.
Yeah.
He gives you the little hologrammed armband.
Yeah, you're the bouncer now. And I work here as stand. When you become a bouncer, you're told that one day another will come. Maybe years from now, who will replace you. Yeah,
You'll know.
A student will become the master. That's sick. That should be a great action movie.
Well, it wouldn't actually have much action in it.
It'd be a comedy.
Yeah, it would mostly be sort of Terry Peck kind of running around the Falklands trying to be Rambo, but not
like
actually
Michael Scotty
doing much. Yeah, somewhat. Yeah, I think that would basically be
You'd
it.
need to see if he led them through landmine fields or whatever, because when the Argentines landed, they just fucking jizzed landmines everywhere. They're still there now.
He went to the Zhukov school of being Rambo.
Like, just run through the land.
That's a reference I should understand, but don't. Like, I know who Zhukov is, but I don't know what he did.
I'd say what he did was pretty important.
It's like me and Virginia Woolf.
Russia.
Virginia Woolf might have led the Red Army through a landmine field. I just don't know.
You know about? Have we talked about the Dreadnought hoax on this show before?
The haha? The what?
The Dreadnought hoax.
The Dreadnought hoax. Have we talked about it on this show?
No,
before?
what is
the
that?
Dreadnoughts, the warships?
Yeah.
What about
So
him?
it was these Charleston House people, the Bloomsbury people.
Yeah.
Right.
The fake gays.
Yeah, or possibly real, is basically as part of a way to sort of do an early ad bust, essentially, but on like the British Empire.
Well, they loved an early bust.
They sort of, I think it was Horace de Vere Cole, who was another friend of theirs.
Yeah.
Man of the people.
Very what 3 words name there.
So he was.
It actually points to the Thatcher Museum in an abandoned mine.
So he was he was a prankster, a 19 sort of early. I was sort of a Georgian prankster.
Okay. That doesn't sound good.
And he had this idea. Well, like 1910s.
Edwardian.
No, yeah,
Edwardian.
that'd be like 1830s.
Oh yeah, sorry. Excuse me. He was an Edwardian prankster.
Georgian prankster. I'm stealing people's powdered wigs. I'm having people deported to Tasmania.
Only joking, Napoleon's still dead. A few. That was all very worried.
Well, we thought he was back.
He came back once.
So the Dreadnought affair is basically the Bloomsbury group, led by sort of their prankster friend Horace de Vere Cole, basically mailed like Admiralty House and said, "Hey, we're as far as you know, we're the Abyssinian royal family, and we'd love to see the Dreadnought." The Dreadnought was like this big secret warship that that Britain was building. It was to be the ship to end all ships. It was like you could win a battle at sea in it alone. That was the plan. And they basically just, okay, well, Virginia Woolf, Adrian Stephen, and the rest, we're going to black up, and then we're going to go and get a tour of a warship to own the British Empire.
I like the idea that at the time, blackface was so commonplace that the average British government official couldn't actually tell it apart. It's like they were that stupid.
Would you believe, of course, that this wasn't the first time that Horace de Vere Cole pulled off a blackface hoax?
Please stop. Jesus Christ.
This was like the original Jackass, like recorded directly onto wax cylinder.
Yeah.
Carrying a really big wallet, wearing moccasins. People are like, "Oh, that's quite offensive, actually." Yeah.
What What is that? Who is that an impression of? Just, who has
Georgian person?
Oh,
They
it's just
carry
like
big
guy,
wallets?
it's like stereotypes about guys from the Caucasus. Is that they have like Beatles haircuts, and like a lot of stereotypes, this is like somewhat true. You could find a guy who fits this stereotype. Beatles haircut, like kind of like the straight cut fringe, the kind of earlobe length hair.
It's a page boy, I believe it's called.
Yeah, the UFC baseball cap, big like portemonnaie purse that you would associate with like your mum having in the 2000s, but they're carrying it in their hand because obviously they don't have a handbag. And then they're wearing
So
like
what, like a sort of valise?
but it's like double the size of a man's wallet and it zips up, you know? Like,
Right, okay.
A
Yeah.
longie.
Yeah. Kind of like the size of like a file of fax, but it's your wallet.
It's long enough to jerk off with.
Yeah, that's right.
There
You
we
can
go,
zip
yeah.
up your
yes,
cock in
yes,
there.
Yes, thank you.
And then and you're wearing like tight trousers and like moccasins, like loafers, often in a bright color like red.
Like Todd's driving loafers.
Yeah, that kind of thing,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Like red.
Yeah.
Red loafer.
Yeah, it's a fascinating
It's
look.
quite a visual picture you're building.
Yeah. It's pretty fun when you find like a thing from another country
A
that
thick
is
turtleneck?
it's very well known there and has no cultural relevance to you at all. You can't parse it or make any sense of it. Turtleneck, yes, sometimes. Yeah.
Kind of a fit, to be fair.
Kind of. They're getting a fit off.
Wow. That is much more elaborate. The red shoes is really freaking me out.
The Red Shoe Diaries in Russia was very different.
Okay, so you know how Dorothy wear red shoes and the words are, we're not in Kansas anymore? We're not in Caucasus anymore?
We're not in Grozny anymore.
But the Kansas Caucus, you understand.
Yeah,
It's
I do,
local.
I do.
We're not at the caucus anymore. We've left our meeting.
Wicked Tsar of the West or something.
Yeah.
Something such as this.
Yeah, Ramzan Kadyrov's feared lieutenant, the Tin Man. So named because he used to pack his enemies' remains into tins and send them to their families,
He
perfectly
doesn't have a
preserved.
heart. Surely that's his fear-based selling point. Man of Steel.
Or at least Man of Tin.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, he goes into battle in a Mercedes C63 for some reason. No one's fully sure why.
So Pierre,
Hello.
I've been thinking about something since we left. We haven't recorded this in quite a while.
You've been thinking about this for 2 months?
Yeah, I've been thinking
Yeah.
about it for I've been periodically just doing it for myself for 2 months,
Mm-hmm.
which is
It's wanking off with a tube of denim.
What are you talking about?
I'm thinking of.
I think you'd left by the time we
I
started.
think
talking
you
about
left that time we were
Yeah.
talking about this. It's your Elvis talking to Nixon.
it. Yeah, Elvis.
Okay, that sounds fun.
So hard to explain.
Okay, what are they talking
I
about?
was there and I can't remember the
What
origin
brought
of
them
this.
together?
They were mates in real life.
Okay.
Yeah, they actually.
At one point, Nixon asked Elvis to keep an eye on the Beatles.
Oh, I love that.
those long hairs coming over.
They look like Chechens. What's going on with that?
I know the American girls are pelting them with bras. It's just I don't like it.
Well, I went to Elvis's house, speaking of mythologizing in real
He went to
time.
Graceland.
Yeah, and in
Was it
Graceland.
fucked?
Oh, it's fucking crazy. Also, the house itself is much smaller than you expected it to be.
Covered in recording devices.
It's also it was like 8 people living at the same time. It's freaking crazy. But he had a TV room where he had 3 TVs all on at the same time where he watched the news. Very well informed
Oh,
man.
it's like Trump vibes.
Yeah.
Just like watching the news all day, eating burgers,
Yeah.
drinking Diet Coke.
A lot of horsing around with the guys. He had like
Okay.
a fleet of golf carts that they would just drive together, just to be menaces.
Horsing around, mama.
He had a kind of posse of, like a kind of hangers-on.
Yeah, people who watched him play squash, even though there's tennis. But he was like, no, I'll play the game that I play alone. I guess you can play squash with someone else. Sorry, I take that
That's
back.
mad. But and just his life, they would come up to him with just like a case and open it, and it would be all mad jewelry, and he'd just go, "Oh, that one, and that one, that one," and then they go, "Great," and they'd shut it, and they'd just appear in his house.
It's all like jewelry from like Indiana Jones. They're all like cursed amulets and like.
They look like they are.
Yeah. This one will ward off the evil casino owner.
Yeah. What like that's like, rap bling before it was a thing, right? Like, was he the first conspicuous jewelry consumer of rock and roll? Of
That's a
music?
very good question.
Well,
Liberace, I guess, was very jewelry though.
He didn't just like jewelry though. He was obsessed with collecting police badges because Elvis was very conservative.
Yes.
He was, despite the hips, He was very conservative.
He was really anti-drugs, but
Yeah.
he was also very pro getting his doctor to prescribe him medicine, which also happened to be highly addictive.
What he wanted
So,
basically is Elvis sent. The reason I wanted you, because I'm also interested in the Elvis Nixon relationship, and the reason I wanted you to do this impression is because I think you capture it very well.
Well, you should never try and explain
Elvis, inaudible.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should never
Elvis,
try and
mama.
explain an in-joke.
No, but it's Elvis. The reason he wanted to, he wrote a lot of letters to Nixon, and one of them was like, "Oh, Mr. President, I'd love to be made a federal agent at large in the war on drugs."
You were kind of doing Elvis as Nixon there.
Oh,
He's trying to win him over by talking. Now you see. Well, Mr. Presley, fine American, and it would be an honor to have you involved in our fight against these goddamn long hairs. Fucking hippies, draft dodgers.
His war against the Afghan hound. The lesser known.
He's so angry on those tapes. It's so funny.
So
he's such a Quaker when he does speeches, but in private he's like, "It's the gays, Henry. They brought down Rome, and now it's happening to us." It's just such an insane man.
It's so fascinating when you meet like a politician who actually believes the crazy things, because you just assume that they're saying the crazy things as like a baseline way of appealing to people.
Well,
but
Nixon-
then occasionally you come across a politician who just like really thinks it, and you're like, oh.
No, I used to think like that, and now my starting point is it's always sincere. It's like the politics version of believe who they are when they tell you know, that kind of dating advice. like, no, I apply that to public figures as well.
When Nixon is recording your first date with him, that is a red flag.
Hope you don't mind if some of my friends join us on the table adjoining.
Haldeman, don't worry about what he's saying. You can never hear it.
He's a plumber.
it's more of a
He's my plumber.
it's more of a group hang than a date. So, what are we?
Don't worry about the broken lock on your apartment. It's probably nothing.
When we were talking about this, the idea was that you could make it less of an elaborate in-joke, which we'll try not to explain, because it's never good to try and explain.
No.
Yeah. Their
the
first date
idea
with
would-
Nixon is good.
Yeah, the idea would be Nixon reacting to just anything from now. We're calling it a brat summer.
Henry, where are we at on this?
What's our exposure on this? Is there any way you can blame vaping on the Cambodians?
It's the gays, Henry. They've ruined summer. They've made it bright. Everything's green. What happened to red, white, and blue?
I'm going to England. I want to do the Amy Winehouse walking tour, but none of that drug malarkey.
I want it to be tasteful.
I'm commissioning the National Amy Winehouse Museum in Idaho.
I liked Back to Black, but I didn't care for Frank. It was too raw. She hadn't found her voice yet.
They made her sing Rehab too many times.
Spiro Agnew inaudible. You're right, they should be in jail. What did he say?
I don't believe Mark Ronson is a communist, but he's certainly a sympathizer.
I wrote this book. His brother wrote this book called The Psychopath Test. Can we use that at MK?
They don't care about Ronson anymore, Henry. It's old Jack Antonoff now.
Somebody wake up Hoover.
Taylor Swift wrote a new album called The Tortured Poets Department. Does she know about what we were doing in Cambodia? How'd she get wind of this early? Yeah. I think we gotta get rid of him too. So Elvis's letter to Nixon was, "I talked to Vice President Agnew in Palm Springs 3 weeks ago and expressed my concerns for our country. So the drug culture, the hippie elements, the SDS, the Black Panthers, etc., do not consider me as their enemy, or as they call it, the establishment."
You went quite Garrison there.
I can't do a good Elvis.
Now, my name would not be Elvis Presley if I did not.
So basically, he's like, look, the drugs, hippies, like black nationalists and stuff, do not consider me their enemy. So, Mr. Nixon, I would like to be your spy in the counterculture. Yeah. This is what Elvis.
Wow.
This is what I mean, because that is who he was. Like that's how he was friends with the Colonel and stuff. So this makes sense for Elvis to do this.
Yeah, and it's an interesting insight into someone who I always thought of as probably too busy.
Yeah, well,
you'd think for something like this.
What I love,
a lot of singing.
my favorite part of this, right, is he said so he wants to be made a federal agent at large so he can get like a drug war badge to put with his other badges. That's what Elvis wants out of this relationship. And he says, first and foremost, I'm an entertainer, but all I need is federal credentials. I'm on a plane with Senator George Murphy, and we've been discussing the problems our country is faced with. Sir, I'm staying at the Washington Hotel. I have 2 men who work with me by the name of Jerry Schilling and Sonny West. I'm registered under the name of John Burroughs, and I will be here for as long as it takes to get the credentials of a federal agent. He wanted to be a valor thief guy.
Oh my God.
I have done, personally, me, Elvis, an in-depth study.
Honestly, very similar energy to the Falklands guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Imagine your door being kicked in by Elvis in the white cat suit with all the jewelry and the sunglasses. You're under arrest, Mom.
Drop the spliff, cat.
Drop the spliff.
That's what an FBI agent says immediately before he shoots your cat.
I'd say Falklands guy less deluded, because at least he was invaded. Whereas Elvis is just there watching, like, the Beatles become vegetarian and going, well, what if it happens here?
We gotta get the president
Okay, you
on
say
this.
that, but when Morrissey became vegetarian, it did not end there.
He says, I have done an in-depth study of drug abuse and communist brainwashing techniques. I'm right in the middle of the whole thing, and I can and will do the most good.
I would love to see Elvis's paper on his published paper on communist brainwashing techniques.
Well, that's how they got the idea for MK Ultra. Was a drug abuse and communist brainwashing technique.
Yeah, I mean, Elvis, but
Off the split cat.
I was nominated this coming year as one of America's 10 most outstanding young men. That will be in January 18th.
What's the category?
That feels like a state fair type thing. Like Iowa's biggest boys. We've brought them out. Look at them. Look at these beefy boys.
Hang on. This was 1970.
It feels like by 1970, Nixon should know who Elvis is.
And also, Elvis is quite
young.
old by 1970.
Yeah, he's not a young man.
I mean, he died in the 70s, so...
Yeah.
Drop the split cat. I'll stop. I'm so sorry.
How many prescription drugs do you have to be on to write a letter to
You're
Nixon?
caught in a trap. You can't walk out. We've got this whole building surrounded. The singing FBI agent.
When he was obsessed with karate as well. So he'd come and chop you. Like a Star Trek, chop you in the neck so you just fall down.
Oh, Mom.
There's some kind of communist technique stopping my chop from working. Just wouldn't knock you out.
He's got a secret brand name.
Stop it, Elvis.
Elvis undercover is fucking hilarious.
Yeah, just no attempt to disguise himself.
No, just go like one pair of Groucho glasses, everything else the same. I'm here to join the drum circle.
Super Agent Elvis FBI, I would watch 1,000 episodes.
Agent Elvis FBI movie where he has to collaborate with Agent Tom Jones, Scotland Yard Flying Squad.
They then did meet. The Elvis and Nixon did meet. Like, they became pals in the 70s.
To these communists.
And so this is like I don't have the transcript on me, but the summary of the meeting is available. Presley immediately began by showing the president his law enforcement paraphernalia, including badges from police departments across the country. Presley indicated that he'd been playing Las Vegas, and the president indicated he was aware of how difficult it is to perform in Las Vegas.
That's
How does Nixon know this?
I think Nixon...
pretty brutal, those long residents. The old girls, the gambling.
The nosebleed from the casino floor.
Those goddamn pensioners they bus in from Arizona. They're not getting up and dancing.
The tourists, they're piping in oxygen. They're keeping them awake. They're all gacked up. Gacked up, Elvis.
No windows, no clock.
You don't know what time it is. All you know is how many times you've sung Suspicious Mind.
But what this is really is Elvis Presley walks into the Oval Office, shows Nixon his like collection of memorabilia, and then Nixon's
So he brought
like,
it with him to the Oval Office.
Yeah, he showed him all his badges.
Like a
And Nixon had to be
9-year-old
like,
boy.
Wow, Elvis, that's very impressive.
A lot of badges.
That's a lot of badges. It must be really hard being a performer. The president...
He's got more badges than a Boy Scout.
Yeah, that would be after. He'd be like, what do you make of that, Agnew? He got more badges than a Boy Scout. So the president mentioned that he thought Presley could reach young people and that it was important for Presley to retain his credibility. Presley responded he did his thing by just singing. and that he could not get to the kids if he made a speech on stage. He had to reach them in his own way. The president said nothing and nodded in agreement. Oh, yeah. Presley indicated that he thought the Beatles, this is what you were talking about, had been a real force to the anti-American spirit. The Beatles came to this country, made their money, and then returned to England where they promoted an anti-American theme. Because this was the 70s. This is like they started playing the sitar and being like, and like taking acid.
And playing sitar is anti-American.
Well, it's like, you're not doing good old-fashioned rock and roll anymore. You're not being like, you let your hair grow long, you have a beard. You're not respectable anymore. Yeah. The president nodded in agreement and expressed some surprise.
Bloody hell, I've gotten into Hindu mysticism.
The president, Australian Beatles?
No. It wasn't quite right though. Because the Beatles were Scouse, but they didn't have like they had that weird kind of...
They had an old Scouse accent.
The
one
RP
that's popular
Scouse.
now used to just be like the centre of the city, and now it's everywhere.
The president then...
Oh no, said the fat controller. It's Elvis at the door.
And he's telling me to drop the split.
I hope he's not going on about the Jews again.
The president then indicated...
He's wearing a Groucho mask pair of glasses, but it's definitely Elvis.
Where's that knocking at the door of our submarine?
Okay.
Oh no, it's FBI agent Elvis. Quick, take that spliff off the cat.
Victory!
A humble
carpenter's wine.
Humble carpenter's wine. Yes, exactly.
Now, if Jesus were a tall bar
angel.
wine,
The guy ages really quickly because it's so tannic. It's so dry.
It's why
He's so sour. You have chosen poorly. That wasn't nearly ready for opening.
Yes, the King of Kings would have had an 05 Pomerol, of course.
it had barely been airing.
No.
Jesus was a simple man. He would have enjoyed a Wolf Blass or a Hardee's.
Indiana Jones digging in a pile that gets an apple sours shot. It was a party with the lads. He's fine, he's right. That's what it is. A little wooden shot glass.
Yeah.
Carpenter's glass.
A carpenter's shot glass.
The Last Supper was a stag do.
So I'm having to drop out of wine school, unfortunately.
Oh no!
It is weird that the exams in like level 1 and 2 are like, is this white wine? Yes, good job. And then in level 3 it's like, come on then. Where in the world is this liquid from, you fucking piece of shit? Like, it's such an escalation.
Tell me with your nose only, where in the world is this liquid
SAS
from?
selection, you're like handcuffed to a chair, there's a guy slapping you.
No,
what a note!
Chucks it in your face.
And you're like, I'm not telling you nothing.
That's how you pass? It's resistance to it's the resistance to interrogation.
Wine tasting.
Wine tasting.
Yeah.
It was like,
Notes of go fuck your mother.
something like that, you know?
Throwing it in your face. Is that corked? I've got no fucking idea.
Just pouring a 93 Pomerol in a drain in front of you while you scream like Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible. No!
I would hate that. I could drink that. We could just drink it. Why are you pouring it out?
I'll make you a deal.
So it's sweet.
Time for deals is over.